All right, so we are in the plane right now. So we are flying with Air New Zealand, heading towards New Zealand, and we are basically about to be given the paperwork because yes, when you're in the plane, you are, you have kind of a fair things to do. But before that, you are going to be fed a horrible food, of course. So again, the concept of this show, guys, is for you to ask us all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. This is going to play for the entire hour, so we'll just kind of like talk over the screen as it progresses. But yeah, feel free to ask us all your questions as we progress. But yeah, one other thing to keep in mind is basically before you head onto the plane, before you can even board, right, is to actually get the right visa to get to New Zealand, right?
Yeah, so first of all, you want to make sure that you have done any preparation paperwork before getting on the plane, which may mean doing the NZETA if you're just visiting, on holiday. It may mean if you are coming here for an extended trip, that you've got the appropriate, say, working holiday visa, student visa, whatever is applicable to you. Otherwise, there are a certain amount of countries that also will need to apply physically for the visitor visa. So make sure you do all that research before taking your flight to New Zealand. You do need to have, for instance, the NZETA if you are visiting, all done before going on the plane, or else in some cases they will not let you board if you do need one. So yeah, and make sure you do all that research, that paperwork. We do talk.
But Laura, where can we do that research?
Yes, of course, you can do it on nzpocketguide.com. So we have loads of information on how to get, say, the working holiday visa if that applies to you, how to get student visas, how to what is the NZDT and do you need to get it? When do you need to actually apply for a visitor visa? We go through all of that on nzpocketguide.com. And of course, obviously, you can go on the immigration website as well. Immigration New Zealand has all that information available as well. So yeah, make sure you do that research and you are ready to go, and then you'll be on your plane dining on some beautiful cuisine.
Beautiful cuisine. Look at us looking at each other and be like, it's not good. Let's be honest, the food is just not good. Like we have flown a lot with Air New Zealand and it never is good. Anyway, so speaking of flying, right? So New Zealand has 62 different airports scattered around the country, from like field airport, which are literally just mud patches, let's be honest, to big international airports. So what are your options when it comes down to actually coming internationally to New Zealand? Is there like only a handful, right?
Yeah, so the main international airport of New Zealand is Auckland International Airport. This is usually the cheapest airport to arrive in New Zealand because it has the most connections. However, there are other options as well. You can arrive on the South Island at Christchurch International Airport. That's quite a common one for a lot of people that are just planning to travel to the South Island, for instance. That is a good airport to arrive in and tends to have a lot of connections to Australia in particular. And the same goes for Queenstown International Airport. Although this is much smaller of an airport, there are a few flight connections to Australia. And also, believe it or not, Dunedin International Airport, people. So yeah, I think there's like one flight to somewhere in Australia. And there's also Wellington International Airport, which is taking you to the capital of New Zealand, which is on the North Island. And that has a few not too far away connections as well. But if you are traveling from afar, usually you will find yourself arriving at Auckland International Airport.
That's what most people are doing, right? They arrive at Auckland International Airport and then they take either a connecting flight to another place where they want to land, should it be Christchurch or Queenstown usually. That's the two kind of main options. Or you just get off in Auckland Airport like we're going to be doing in this video right here, and then you can get started in exploring New Zealand.
Yeah. So if you are taking, just one extra thing, if you are taking a connecting flight once you arrive in New Zealand, say you're going from Auckland to Christchurch, you will go through the whole biosecurity phase of that at Auckland International Airport first, and then you'll go to the domestic terminal at Auckland Airport to catch your domestic flight to one of the other airports in New Zealand, if if that applies to you.
All right, so as I was saying, you're going to get some paperwork given to you right in the plane, right? And so what you're going to be getting is the New Zealand Traveller's Declaration. So first up, there's going to be a video playing that will explain to you what you need to declare and what you don't need to declare. And in case of doubt, no matter what, just declare it, right? And we do have plenty of videos on this channel where we go over the New Zealand Traveller's Declaration. This one right here is a little bit old. Genuinely, we shot this video a couple of months ago and they have changed the design of the form in between.
It's
this
green
is very
now,
annoying.
people. It's
yeah,
all
it's green.
green.
We have the new one right here. Here you go. That's the new one. But yeah, it's about the same principle, right? So yeah, the stewardess is going to pass around and start giving some paperwork. You know, basically that's New Zealand Declaration card, and you're going to watch the video, and hopefully you have a pen. I should recommend you packing a pen so you don't have to ask for a pen.
Yeah, they don't usually give pens out to people, only if people ask.
Exactly.
It's just handy to have your own.
And then you're going to need to basically fill up the New Zealand Declaration. So the first thing you need to fill up is your flight number. So basically, like, you know, just whatever is written on your boarding pass. Yeah, so the couple of things you're going to be needing is your boarding pass and your passport, so, you know, to fill that up. Then you're going to need to enter the overseas port where you boarded this aircraft, so wherever you decide to land this very plane right here. Then your passport number, your nationality on your passport, your family name, your given or first name, your date of birth, which is day, month, year for you Americans that like to do it in a different way, your country of birth, your occupation or job, and this can be anything, like it's more like for survey kind of purposes, your full contact or residential address in New Zealand, which most of you probably wouldn't have if you're coming into New Zealand with you know, just as a visitor. So Laura, what are the options that you can put right here?
Yeah, so if you're just visiting, what we usually do, and has always been completely fine for us, is to just state the first hotel or accommodation that you're staying in, just to state the name of that accommodation, and that tends to work perfectly.
Then you put your email address and your phone number. Don't forget to put your country code on there. Then we're moving on to the next page of that form, which is going to include a couple of different sections, right? And so you have a section to do, like, if you are living in New Zealand or if you do not live in New Zealand. So do like Laura, you know, just start filling it up and then cross it. That's the second time she's making a mistake on this one we're recording. Got to love that. And so, yeah, so on the section 2B, you're going to go for the questions if you do not live in New Zealand, right? And by the way, if you find this video useful, make sure to give us a like or all those kind of good things. Google is always happy with that. Or YouTube, I should say. Okay, so how long you intend to stay in New Zealand? So you are putting how long basically you will keep taking your holiday, and if you're coming to New Zealand basically for not for living permanently, you can put the main reason of your trip is just a nice little check or cross. Then you're going to need to answer the question, in which country did you last live for 12 months or more? This is mostly for like biosecurity things, and then the state, and then the zip code. Then you have to, same thing, list the countries that you have been to during the past 30 days. So something that is for biosecurity purposes. And then you have a series of questions which are basically checkboxes. So yes or no, right? And so first up is, do you know the content of your baggage? And the answer should always be yes. Because obviously you packed your own bag, right? Then, are you bringing into New Zealand any food, cooked, uncooked, fresh, preserved, or dry? If it's yes, even if it's something that you know, innocuous, just check yes because you want to have declared it. If you bring any animals or animal product like meat, dairy product, fish, honey, bees, bee products, eggs, feathers, shells, raw wool, skins, bones, or insects, check yes if you bring any of that. Oh, otherwise check no. Plants or plant product, fruit, flowers, seeds, bulbs, wood, bark, leaves, nuts, vegetable parts or plants. Part of plants, fungi, canes, bamboo, or straw, including or for religious offering or medicinal use. If it's the case, check yes. Then you have another section about other biosecurity risk item, including animal medicine, biological cultures, organisms, soil or water. If you bring that, check yes, otherwise bring no. Equipment/clothing used with animals, plants or water, including for gardening, beekeeping, fishing, water sport or diving activities. For example, we always travel with snorkels because we do go a lot to the South Pacific. We check yes. Items that have been used for outdoor activities, including any footwear, tent, camping, hunting, hiking, golf or sport equipment. If you have some hiking boots, check yes. And in the past 30 days, while outside New Zealand, have you visited any wilderness areas or had contact with animals, except domestic cats and dogs, or visited properties or farm? Check yes. Then you have another section, which is section 6, about what you are bringing to New Zealand. Laura, go ahead.
Yeah, so it asks, have you brought any medicine over 3 months' supply or medicine not prescribed to you? Check yes or no. Restricted or prohibited goods, for example, weapons, indecent publications, endangered plants or wildlife, illegal or controlled drugs.
No to gun and boobies.
Tick either yes or no. We're not judging. Alcohol, if you've brought more than 3 bottles of spirits not exceeding 1.125 litres each and 4.5 litres of wine or beer, check either yes or no. Tobacco, more than 50 cigarettes or 50 grams of tobacco products, including a mixture of cigarettes and other tobacco products. Tick yes or no. Goods obtained overseas and or purchased duty-free in New Zealand with total value of more than 700 New Zealand dollars, including gifts. Check either yes or no. Goods carried for business or commercial use. Yes or no. Goods carried on behalf of another person. And finally, cash. 10,000 New Zealand dollars or more in foreign or the foreign equivalent, including traveller's checks, bank drafts, money orders, etc. So yeah, tick yes or no to any of those things if you have any of those things.
I paused the video a little bit because we are falling behind. But yeah, let's continue with that declaration card. On section 7, you need to answer some questions about your passport or your residency and all that. So it's going to ask you if you do hold a current New Zealand passport or resident visa. So you obviously are going to click, check no probably, and then that will ask you to continue kind of answer some questions. But if you are yes, you basically skip a big part of it. Then it's going to ask you, are you a New Zealand citizen using a foreign passport? Yes or no. So it's probably going to be no for people who are watching that. And then, do you hold an Australian passport or permanent resident visa to allow you to return to Australia from overseas? So the answer is probably going to be no, but I mean, there may be some Australian watching this show. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, then we're going to the last page. So that's the back page of the document. And there you basically have section 8, which is all other. You must leave New Zealand before the expiry of your visa or face deportation. So are you coming to New Zealand for medical treatment or consultation or to give birth? Yes or no? So you need to tick one, and then you have to select one of those 2 options. I hold a temporary entry class visa. Tick yes if you currently hold a visa, even if it's not attached as a label to your passport. So if you have your kind of like electronic visas, that works as well. And I do not hold a visa, and I'm applying for a visitor visa on arrival. All right, so you have to tick only one of those. Then you're moving on to question 9. Have you ever been sentenced to 12 months of or more in prison or been deported, removed or excluded from any country at any time? Yes or no? And then you have to sign and date. And again, the date is day, month, year to attest that all the information that you're given on this form are true and correct. It's as simple as that. That's just the form that you have to do. Now, if you didn't get the form, if you didn't understand anything on the form, you can always kind of just wait and ask a person when you're going to be like kind of presenting the form. You can say beforehand like, oh, this question I wasn't sure, and then you can get some help them. And there is also a lot of forms available at the airport after you're off board, right? There is a lot of booths that you're going to see actually in this video. There is a lot of booths there.
And you can also do this online now. Before you take your flight, you can also do an online version of the form. You can do it through your phone. I think there's a phone app for it as well. So either way works, and I feel like for us personally, we always do it on the plane because, well, we have time to waste on the plane anyway, so it just tends to be something to do, and it's easy to just hand over the paper form and have it with you.
Handing over, we saw my lovely love handles right here. That was a very unflattering shot, Laura. I appreciate you. But we are getting off the plane now. And it's our time to finally set foot onto New Zealand in New Zealand. Sorry. So yeah, no need to stand and be one of those that's kind of jostle with elbow fight. You know, everybody's basically going to get off the plane at about the same time. So yeah,
we basically leave once every other seat is empty. We're just like, all right, shall we go now? Okay.
Yeah.
Then.
What's the
rush? Hey,
yeah,
what's
there's
the
no
rush?
rush. Yeah. All right, so yeah, so we're slowly making our way. So this is the pass that's going to take us inside the airport, and so yeah, so we obviously shot this video through multiple times, kind of like landing back in New Zealand and everything. So I think we're going to be landing in the middle of the night right here. This one, isn't it?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah,
like
this
it.
this
Yeah.
one we're going to be in the middle of the night. But yeah, so we were flying in the middle of the day. We are now landing in the middle of the night. So that's great and fabulous. So yeah, you will see a lot of signs throughout the airport reminding you about biosecurity, right? I feel, and I'm not sure, right, but I feel like this is kind of the New Zealand airport's kind of number one kind of concern when people are arriving, or the number one kind of mistake kind of that there is, and it's just the fact that there is just so much emphasis into biosecurity.
Declare.
Declare, and if you're unsure, make sure that you declare. All right. So, yeah, you basically just making your way through the entirety of the airport, and quite often, especially if you arrive from the South Pacific, you land at the furthest end of the airport. We get like the worst treatment when landing in New Zealand when we travel through like all the South Pacific islands, because they know that no matter what, you don't have a choice. This is the only kind of gateway to the rest of the world, right? So they just send you to the horrible place. But yeah, so you arrive all the way at the end of the airport, and yeah, finally making your way toward well, first the duty free, because the airport has to make some money and
Yeah.
sell you some very expensive goods, didn't they?
Yes. So yeah, sort of the first section that you'll eventually arrive to is the duty.
Are you seeing the arrival in real time, guys? We told you it'll be real time.
Yeah, so yeah, the duty free section, which is, all nice and flashy, lots of perfumes, lots of mostly alcohol. So in terms of whether the prices are better than once you leave the airport, we usually don't see the prices being that much cheaper at the Auckland airport for duty free. So we actually see it better overseas when we have travelled. So yeah. Just a hint, guys. Don't fall for their schemes. It's usually the Whittaker's chocolate in particular is
That's so expensive.
hugely
Yeah.
expensive at the duty free compared to just buying it at a New Zealand supermarket. So yeah, you don't need to stock up here before leaving. Just wait until you get to some supermarkets in New Zealand.
But they also know that you're gonna need to wait for a very long time to get your baggage anyway, like at the baggage claim, which you've got to get your baggage first before you are heading to the before you're heading to like all the biosecurity and everything. You need to pick up your bag, right? So they know that you have to kind of get your baggage claim. So then at that point, they know they get you. Anyway, so yeah, if you need to do some international transfer, so if you're using just New Zealand as a port to go to another country, then at that point you don't need to do any of that, and your bag would be passed.
Yeah.
So this is the place where most people take photos right here. This is kind of like the big beautiful entry into New Zealand that they've made.
Yeah,
you've probably seen a
beautiful
lot of people
Maori
doing that. Yeah.
carvings, and they also like play some sort of music and some like Maori chants and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a really cool entry into the country. But another noteworthy thing, you will see these what they called amnesty bins around. So this is where you can dispose of any items you don't think will go through biosecurity, particularly any food that maybe you've opened, maybe you've got like half a sandwich or something, like, so any packaged food that's been opened is kind of one thing.
That lady is really crazy on duty free, by the way.
And another thing is like fresh fruit and that sort of thing. So any like fresh food, anything that's not packaged, not labeled, that sort of thing it's best to just get rid of it.
Lazy, Laura.
Best to just get rid of it at those bins. But even though they obviously ask you to declare a lot of food, there is still a lot of food that you can bring into New Zealand as long as you declare it. So if you've bought packaged food, and it's not a particular food that is banned, like for instance, a big food that is banned from New Zealand is honey, for example. So if it's not one of those on the list, then you can generally bring it into the country. So don't be off put if you're like, oh, I want to bring some, like, a gift of this beautiful block of cheese. That's what Robin would get. A block of cheese, from my exotic country for a gift for my host in New Zealand. Like, you can still most likely bring it into New Zealand. It's just you do need to declare it.
Yeah, declare it. As we just passed a money exchange kind of place, as a quick reminder to let you know that exchanging money at the airport is always the most expensive option that we've seen. So yeah, just do keep that in mind. So yeah, maybe just wait until you arrive in Auckland in order to do that, in Auckland proper, in order to do that.
We do have an article on nzpocketguide.com of the best places to exchange currency in New Zealand. So if you want to check that out and see what your options are. And we usually say, don't do it at the airport. It's so expensive.
Yeah. All right, so speaking of the duty-free, so we're finally making it to the duty-free area. So as I said, they really make you land as far as you can from anywhere in the Auckland airport, right? Did you realize that we just walked for a good 15 minutes without, I don't know if it was 15 minutes, but a good long time without being able to see anything, literally, at not a single shop, despite the fact this is our airport makes money. So yeah, anyway, so you get a massive duty-free kind of section. So the staff at the duty-free are very capable of telling you what you can and what you cannot take into New Zealand. So they'll tell you what's your limit, of alcohol and all that, so what you can take. And Laura was talking about the Whittaker's chocolate, so obviously that's the thing that she's kind of like looking at straight away, always, all the gigantic Toblerones.
Yeah, but obviously like chocolates, that sort of thing, you can buy much more cheaply at New Zealand supermarkets. Yeah. So I would not be coerced into buying stuff at the duty free. The only thing that's not as... finding Toblerone, which is a classic duty-free chocolate, you don't really see that until Christmas time in New Zealand, so that would be like the one thing but you can probably get that in any airport in the world, right? I don't think I've seen an airport without a Toblerone, even in the South Pacific. So
that is true.
Yeah.
All right, so another interesting thing that's happening right here is that we're going to arrive at passport control. So if you have an e-passport, which... many countries have. If you have an e-passport and all the signs showcase that very label of what the e-passport looks like, then you can go toward the e-passport gate, which is much faster, or otherwise you can go to the far end over there where you can see the big line, the big queue, which is basically manual passport control. But yeah, so for your e-passport, it's very, very, very simple.
But it's only for selected countries, so you have your nationalities of the flags labelled above each of the stations, so just look at that. It's well signposted.
All right, so you just prepare your passport in a very simple way, and you just kind of put it in the machine, and then it's going to say, okay, I've scanned you and good to go, or no, I'm not happy, and that's pretty simple.
And then take your passport out, follow the on-screen instructions.
Yeah,
come on, Robin.
Says you need to remove your mask and you need to look at the camera and give it a big smile. It's just gonna basically take a photo of you.
You don't even need to smile.
Yeah,
I don't smile.
I actually do a silly face every time. I do a stupid face every option again. Laura is just behind me right now. She's just gonna get in and give it a big smile. So it's just another biometric kind of check, I'm guessing, just making sure it's you or some stuff like that.
Yeah, and this process is obviously much quicker than standing in the queue and doing it all manually. So that's the advantage of going here. And if you are from one of the countries stated on the signs, then I definitely recommend going through this way. Otherwise, all other nationalities just go and have a manual check-in.
Manual check-in.
And that's
check-in
fine.
is manual.
It's just at that point, they don't really look too much at your traveller declaration card at this point. It's more later on where they start to look at that.
If you've ever watched a show where they do like biosecurity or something and they take people in a special immigration office, that's the office which is just behind Laura right now as we're watching. That's kind of like the place where they will kind of ask you extra questions or to present you extra documents or blah, 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 depending on what visa you are bringing into New Zealand. So, yeah. So the next place that we are walking to right now, we are making our way toward bag collection, where we're going to be waiting in front of a conveyor belt for a very long time to get our bags.
Yeah, sometimes it's really fast, but on this occasion where we're filming, it's quite slow.
We've been filming. We filmed this video 2 or 3 times, if I remember, right, that we arrived, and every time was damn slow. So I just kept one, that was fine. So yeah, so arriving at baggage claim. So as soon as you arrive, there's some big screens right in the front that will tell you like where to go depending on your flight. So you get your flight number, and then it tells you go to conveyor belt 1 or go to conveyor belt 2. There is really no need to rush. Get the time to get yourself a trolley, get yourself in a nice position afterwards.
Yeah.
Stay behind the yellow line and just sit down and wait.
Yeah. And as you can see, like I still have like my passport and my traveller declaration form handy. Because I know that I am going to be needing that for like the next few stages of this whole process. So just, yeah, bear in mind that once you've gone through passport control, you don't go packing away your passport into the depths of your backpack. Still have that easy to access because you're going to need to keep on showing it to the various different processes after this.
Yes. All right. So yeah, same thing. Like I keep them in my pant pockets. I keep like all the paperwork in my pant pocket because I know that's going to be happening. And so yeah, now you just literally wait for your big bright yellow bags, or at least our big bright yellow bags, for a very very long time. So that's a good time to pass it on to you guys. If you do have any questions, feel free to put it within the comments of the video. We're here to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. We've been half an hour into the show right now, and we basically just been blabbering for about half an hour right now.
But you don't have to ask your questions about arriving in New Zealand. It doesn't have to be about the theme of the week. You can ask your questions about anything to do with traveling New Zealand. So feel free to ask away, guys.
Oh, we're making friends. I don't know. I don't know what's happening right here.
Oh, I actually remember this lady was making a connection to Christchurch Airport, and our flight was delayed about 3 hours
3
or
or 4
something.
hours,
Yeah, so she was like really like, oh my god, I need to get my bags and I need to go and make my connecting flight now. I've got like 15 minutes. Guys, if you have connecting flights, make sure that you do give yourself plenty of time in between. Like, I'd say a couple of hours is probably at the least, but if you can make it a bit more, you'll probably give you a lot more peace of mind, because you never know, like, if your flight's going to be delayed or...
Well, this very flight was 3 hours and something, and we were delayed more than the length of the flight itself.
They automatically rescheduled her connecting flights. They said, like, okay, for any passengers that are connecting to anywhere else in New Zealand, we've automatically rescheduled you onto the next flight. So that's good, but even then, they gave her very little leeway between that and the next rescheduled flight. So
and as mentioned, especially if you have a connecting flight within New Zealand, right? If you do have a flight within, like, from, as this lady has, from Auckland to Christchurch, she has to go through the whole biosecurity and whole thing in Auckland. And so for that reason, that she's a bit stressed, because same thing, the connecting flight is not with, I mean, it is in the Auckland airport, but not within that building. She also has to after that, go to the domestic terminal. So yeah, it is. Why are you moving me? You're getting me in a better angle, and I appreciate you, Laura. So yeah. By the way, the quality of the video on screen is very poor on YouTube compared to what we're actually seeing on our screen. So the color is like really shocking. So I'm apologizing for that. I'm very sorry. So keep that in mind. So the reason why we're getting our bags first before we're going through the whole biosecurity thing is because, well, all of the bags are going to be inspected or subject to inspection if we didn't declare it properly, right? So it's worth keeping that in mind, that all of your bags could be inspected as you go. Quick word about the e-gate we were talking about. So the countries which are currently accepting e-gates are
starting with New Zealand, then Australia, UK, US, Canada, China excluding Hong Kong, France, Germany, Ireland, Netherlands, Singapore, Japan, and South Korea. So they're the countries that can go through the e-gate. If your passport is not from one of those countries, then you'll need to go through the manual passport control inspection.
Nice. Rafa Cat is here saying, hello guys, how are you? Leeds is wet and horrible. How is New Zealand? They're about the
Also
same.
wet and horrible, but probably a bit warmer, I imagine, than it is in Leeds right now. Because I know you guys are edging your way into winter as we're edging our way into summer. So at least it's hot. It's hot and humid, or at least it's warm and humid, but still pretty horrible.
So Laura is probably using the bathroom right now. There is no bathroom literally just by the waiting for your bag thing is, so it's not a bad time for you guys to do that, because the queue actually for the next section may be quite long. By the way, just so you know, the next section, it is forbidden to film, so we have some filler
other footage,
other footage, but it is
yes.
forbidden to film after that. So just for you guys, just so you know. So we just talked about the e-gate, so that was when you present your passport. So if they decide to ask you some questions when you are giving your passport and showing your visa, some of the questions may include, what is the purpose of your trip?
Yeah, so basically you just answer basically what your visa is, or what you've also put on your traveller declaration. So that could be for, a working holiday, if you're on a working holiday visa, as a visitor, if you're just on holiday, just say you're on holiday, or visiting family, that sort of thing. It's just one of those honest answers, It's usually, as long as your visa sort of coincides with what your purpose of traveling is.
Okay, another question could be, do you have a return ticket or sufficient fund for a return ticket?
So some visas do require that information to be shown. So usually what it is, the evidence for supported evidence for that would be sort of a hard copy of a recent bank statement or a outward travel ticket.
Do you have sufficient funds required for your visa?
Yeah, so again, if this is to do with your visa, because some visas do require this evidence, then again, show a hard copy of a recent bank statement would be appropriate.
Do you have any contact in the country?
Yeah, so, give contact details if you know anyone in the country, but if you don't have any contact details of anyone, then it's not a big deal. Doesn't matter.
It's my turn to go to the bathroom. Where are you going to be staying for the first few days?
So have the address, or at least the name of the accommodation that you're first going to be staying in. As long as you know that and you can show that you have some accommodation prepared, that's more what they're looking for.
Where was your last destination?
Yeah, so just state the countries that you've been in the last few days.
Have you visited New Zealand before?
Just say yes or no, whether you have or not.
Okay, do you have any food with you?
If you do have food with you, make sure that you say, yes, and describe what the food is.
You still have a chance to get rid of it, by the way. We're not at Biosecurity yet.
Yeah.
And how much cash do you have with you today?
So you can say, but if you do have more than 10,000 New Zealand dollars, or the foreign equivalent, then you do have to do a border cash report, which is an extra paperwork, and you will probably be charged duty for it.
All right. That's kind of what could happen during your passport control section. Wow, everybody's been so quiet today.
Don't think we've had a quieter live show.
No, 2 comments within 38 minutes of a live show. Wow, maybe we should never do shows with videos anymore. It just quiets people, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just too boring.
Yeah, well, we won't be filming ourselves no more at the airport.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So yeah. As you notice, the bag passing right in front of us, you see the same bags going over and over again.
You all know the drill.
Yeah, you all know the drill. But this is why our suitcases are very, very, very colorful, because I feel like the multiple times we see the same bag, I don't think it's actually the same bag. I think it's a lot of different bags, but they all kind of look the same. But it does take quite a while. So, and also one thing to keep in mind as well is that the bags will come back. It's not you don't have one shot to get your bag and then you missed it. But sometimes we literally see some people running. So if you see right now, like on to the left of Laura over there, you can see the boxes kind of passing all along, and then they go back behind the walls and then they come back. So it's kind of it's a full loop, right? And so a lot of time you actually see some inexperienced travelers which are kind of panicked and waiting at the end, or keep running around to try to get their bags. Passing the red line, which is right in front of Laura. You shouldn't pass the red line.
No,
Don't pass
dangerous.
the red line. Well, it's just to give other people the chance to move around, right? So don't panic, and this is definitely your time to get to the bathroom and to kind of like also stretch your legs and everything. You've seen that we've been sitting here for a very long time, and we're not done just yet. It can take quite a while to actually get your bags. It is a lengthy process every time. But yeah, look at that. Somebody has a purple suitcase. Look at
it looks
that.
like there's some suitcases coming out
Exactly,
now, guys.
yeah.
Don't worry, we might
colours.
not be here for too long.
Rafa Kat says, I'm watching your show after a long time. I have been on a 2-month holiday in Pakistan. Good to be back watching your show. 2-month holiday in Pakistan. That sounds a lot of fun.
Yeah. Were you visiting family over there, or did you get a chance to travel around? Yeah.
Good choice of bag, Laura. I like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, very, very, very nice. This is our dry pack. Oh yeah. So we often travel with the dry pack just because we obviously do a lot of water activities when we go to the South Pacific Islands, but also so what we do is quite often we actually check in the dry pack if we have that extra bag that we have the right to do, because it's just a good way to I can see our suitcase in the back because it's a good way to store the wet clothes, if you do a last dip or something.
Yeah, which is exactly what we did. We did some swimming, and then we had like a little tiny bit of damp clothes. Usually if you've got like water, like scuba diving gear and that sort of thing, it's really highly recommended that that's all dried out before coming to New Zealand, because that's one of the sort of biosecurity risk items, and they will check
even
that.
Snorkeling gears or all type of gears.
Yeah, so we dried out our stuff as much as possible. It's just some of our basically our bathing suits are still a little bit wet, but that was fine to go through on this occasion. Just want to put it out there to people that if you've got like actual scuba diving or like wetsuits, that sort of thing, really make sure that they're dry before coming back to New Zealand.
Yeah, Laura was a bit on the rush. It was very, very late at night. I think we were the last flight. Also, it's quite empty as well. Like it's relatively empty. Like quite often the Auckland airport is busier than that. Somebody's running over there.
Go!
Yeah. I want to go faster. But yeah, so right now we have now collected all our bags, so that's all the bags that we were traveling with, and we're making our way toward biosecurity. So this is when filming needs to stop. So as you arrive, you need to pick your lane. If you have something to declare, nothing to declare, or most people have something to declare, so you go to like the correct lanes. The screens will show you where to go. And then you just do have to queue, and we'll show you what happens in a second through some footage from the Ministry of Primary Industry, which is MPI. But as you can see, they're definitely prepared for a lot of waiting and a lot of people, because there is at times a lot of waiting. Again, you've been kind of following kind of a journey right now through the Auckland airport for about half an hour right now, but it can take even longer, right? It is not a slow process. And in fact, we're just going to cut right here because, well, as you can see, we're going to be doing the queue for quite a while. Okay, so this footage right here is just basically the announcement video that you're probably going to be seeing in the plane. From the Ministry of Primary Industries, talking about why we should protect New Zealand. But Laura, go ahead. What happens when you are going through biosecurity?
Yeah, so the first thing, after you have reached the end of that long queue, you're going to be asked to come forward, and there's going to be somebody, a biosecurity officer, that is going to ask to see...
That's a lot of food.
A biosecurity officer is going to ask to see your traveller declaration, and we'll look at it, and anywhere that you've ticked yes, he or she will ask some further questions about why you've ticked yes for this thing. And then at that case, that's when you sort of verbally declare like, oh, well, that food that I've declared is actually, it's a packet of chips that I must absolutely travel with, and I can't go anywhere without my packet of chips.
Oh.
You sort of, they'll ask either for you to show them that. So if you've got any of those items that you may be asked to be shown, then it's a good idea to have them packed so they're easy to access in your backpack or suitcase, just as an extra tip there.
Yeah, so any of the things that you think you want to declare, just put them on top of your suitcase, so like that you can kind of pick them up straight away and just show it to them, right? It just makes life significantly easier.
Yeah, and for instance, like we often take hiking shoes with us when we're traveling, but yeah, we usually just actually wear them on the plane and have them on our person. So they always ask like, okay, what are you've ticked that you've brought some outdoor equipment, including like, you know, camping, hiking shoes and stuff. What is that related to? And then we just show them our shoes that we're literally wearing, and they're just like, yeah, okay, move on.
Yeah, it's always better to declare anything rather than kind of forget to declare it or decide, oh, I'm going to try to hide it, because they will see it through the scanning and we'll show you what the scanning kind of looks like, right?
Yeah, so after you've gone through the sort of document with the biosecurity officer, they will tell you which lane to therefore go into after that. So then there's like another section to biosecurity, and they'll guide you where they want you to go.
And in pretty much every lane, they will have a dog that will kind of sniff bags, or they don't necessarily stop you exactly like on this photo, but they will kind of pass through people.
Yeah.
And the dog will have a signal, is sitting or I don't know, wagging his tail. Does something to tell them that, oh, there is something to look for inside this bag. One of the things which is important when they pass along with the dogs is to not pet the dog or not to interact with the dog, despite how cute they are.
Very cute.
They're very cute beagles. But yeah, so they test it, and actually sometimes they even kind of give stuff to people to actually test the dog, which is kind of fun. Yeah, we've seen that happen a couple of times. So yeah, so do keep that in mind. That so even if you go to the lane that says don't declare, you will still pass through some sort of checks, and the first check is the fact that there is going to be a very cute doggy that's going to be smelling your bag.
Yeah.
And so what we're going to be doing is that we're going to go through each of those steps, and we're just basically kind of going to pause the video just because you don't have the right to kind of film within that, but they do publish some videos themselves. And yeah, as a reminder, the fine for not declaring something is $400, and obviously surrendering the item that should have been declared. Yeah. All right. So once you've done that, then you are going to give your little paper, your declaration, New Zealand
declaration.
Yeah, here you go, New Zealand Traveler Declaration. So you're going to give that to that person. So that's your time to ask if there is something that you didn't understand. Ask it now, and also he's going to ask you a couple of follow-up questions. Sometimes they're going to ask you, oh, what is the outdoor item that you have? And he's going to be like, oh, my shoes, and that's when he's going to say, oh, can I see under your sole or something like that? Or it's like, oh, it's my snorkel gear, and it's kind of, how did you wash it? And then you declare, you explain how you washed it and everything. And it's going to be like, they have like a big orange marker, and they're going to make some big check or some big ticks and something onto the card, and then it's going to give it to you and direct you to the lane. So that's kind of like the next kind of lane direction that you're going to be sent through right here. So yeah, it may not be that gentleman, by the way. It may be another person.
They're usually not as chirpy as that. But...
No, they're usually very. I mean, we quite often, again, we land at like 2 a.m. or something at some crazy hours like that.
I guess it depends what time you arrive.
Exactly. Yeah. You are not all maked up and ready to go at that time. But yeah, same thing. So that's the time when that's kind of your last chance to be upfront and declare things, right? Yeah. After that, if you get caught, that's the $400 fine, like kind of done and dusted, right?
Yeah.
This is your last shot to declare. Make sure that you have done that correctly. All right. So after this section, then your bag are going to be inspected. So you're going to be giving your paperwork to the X-ray unit, I'd say.
Yeah.
And they're going to be putting your bag through the X-ray machine.
Yeah, so you have to put all your bags through. Yeah. So that's including like any sort of, if you've got handbags or camera bags and stuff. So they'll ask you to put that onto this conveyor belt, which will X-ray everything. And yeah, it's pretty much similar to...
For men, you even got to take off your shoes because I got like big hiking boots, right?
Yeah. So it's similar to going through security to get onto the plane. It's kind of a similar deal where they, X-ray all your bags, but obviously they're X-raying your larger bags as well. So yeah, they go through that process, and for most people, you're just picking up your bags at the other end and getting on with your day. But if there is something found in your bag that they have more questions about, then they will take you aside with the bags, and yeah, you'll then be sort of questioned like, yeah, what is all this?
What do you mean you brought 3 salamis and declared you brought no food? We gave you 20,000 chances to declare it. And so that's the thing as well. We kind of want to point that out, right? There is a lot of people that says, oh, I didn't know, oh, I didn't know. I mean, you just seen us arriving at the Auckland airport right now, right? You've seen how many signs there is, how many bins of amnesty bins there is. You know, they give you the paperwork literally in the plane. You've got nothing else to do than just that, right? So there is no excuse, guys.
Yeah.
Come on, make sure that you declare it.
Yeah, so yeah, they'll look at like items like your shoes and stuff, and as you can see from this beautiful example right now, they've got a little wooden drum. So yeah, if you've brought wooden objects like souvenirs, that sort of thing, like maybe you've got a shell necklace from the islands or something, like all that you need to declare.
And then the guy behind, if you look at the background over there, the guy behind brought his golf clubs, so you know,
yeah,
they need to check it.
Yeah, exactly. All these people are very well picked for this example. But even when you declare those things, like they're showing them all, inspecting them now. But in our experience, because we do bring like a lot of different things. Like,
well, last time you came back was literally a shell necklace
exactly,
around your neck.
Shell necklace. You know, maybe some snacks, maybe definitely outdoors gear. We declare all that, and then, you know, they never ask really too many questions to us. So there's just like, they may inspect, they may not even inspect. It may have seemed like you've done all this preparation and then you feel almost let down that they didn't look at it. But
again, if you didn't declare it, you're facing that $400 fine. If you declare it, they're just going to look at it and be, oh yeah, no, this one's fine. Good day, sir. And just declare it. It's so much simpler.
The more sort of transparent you are and honest you are about what you've packed and things, you just makes the whole process super smooth. And we've had no issues ever going through biosecurity in New Zealand. We haven't had anything confiscated, more because also we know what we can and cannot bring into New Zealand. And yeah, it's not like we travel with any illegal goods. So it's usually very much smooth sailing and you don't have to worry too much. You just need to be honest and declare things.
Exactly. All right, so yeah, if you have done any infringement, you will be taken to a desk where you'll be able to pay your fine, and that's basically it. And after that, you are heading outside in the great outdoors where you are in front of a big taxi stand and you are ready for your adventure in New Zealand.
Yeah, so you'll come out of biosecurity into the arrivals hall of Auckland International Airport, where you've got more opportunities to shop, more opportunities to exchange currency, and
take a transport to get started on your adventure in New Zealand. So we have much more information about all that on NZ Pocket Guide, so make sure to check the website out. And if you find this video useful, just make sure to hit the like button, subscribe, all that good thing, so we can bring you more awesome content about planning your trip to New Zealand. We wish everybody a lovely week and we see you next week. Bye bye.
See ya.